Hi, I'm Barbara Bruce, and welcome to Get Out, a weekly virtual broadcast where we invite you to grab your friends and family, your car keys, fill up the gas tank, and get out with us somewhere in the White Mountains. And we are out today, and I'm with Dave Malmgren. And Dave, that's Swedish, right?
That is Swedish.
Yes, and the Swedes are farmers mostly, right?
A lot of them are, actually. That's what I've been told.
Well, this is perfect. You and I go back a long way, and so do a lot of people for that matter. And your location is different than when we did an interview way back in 2016, I believe it was.
It was. That was the first article. If it wasn't for you, I don't think Awesome Feed would have done what it has done.
Oh, I think it would have, because you really know the formula. And now you are located right off of the Deuce of Clubs. So
right.
People can find you. Tell us how to get here.
It's pretty easy to find. We're right behind Bandito's Mexican Food across from Sholo Ford.
Well, that is pretty easy.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking for anything for animals, whether it be feed, bedding, medicine, there's a little bit of everything here. And there are also a lot of things that are good gifts.
We do have interesting gifts, for sure.
You have interesting gifts and things that people would really like. So today we're going to give them a look-see.
Okay.
Because Christmas is not that far away, and I can see some things that you could tell people to get me.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's just go and take a walk around.
Okay, sounds good.
Dave, you've got a lot of space here. How many square feet?
You know, we're 4,400 square feet here.
Really?
It is. It's and we've actually added some more to it. We're working on some other things for next year, but this is a lot bigger. In square footage, reality is the other place was a tiny bit bigger, but this lays out so much better.
Well, I walked all around so that I could see where everything was. And I want to go, before we talk about clothing and tack, tell us a little bit about how you got started here.
You know, it was very fortunate is what it was. We were trying to buy the old location. Long story short, it didn't work out. A gentleman had a feed store already here, David Chimera.
Spur Feeds.
Spur Feeds.
Yes.
And I have to give a shout out to them because he called me, he got out of business, and he called and said, "You've got to come talk to me." And I thought, oh boy, what's going on there? And I wasn't sure if it was a good conversation or a bad conversation. Well, it turned out to be a good conversation. And again, long story short, I was renting the hay barn from his father. David got out of the business, he moved away, moved to Tucson, and this building was for sale. And the dad said, "Hey, you ought to buy this thing." And I said, "Man, with what?" You know? And he said, "Well, maybe we can work something out." So we waited, he had it listed, and everybody kept lowballing him. And he come to me and he said, "Look, I don't want to list it again. Can we work something out?" And he told me a price. I said, "I'm not going to argue with the price if you'll work with me." And so we were blessed. I have to give another shout out to National Bank of Arizona, Kyle Beecroft. If it wasn't for that manager of that bank, we would not have bought this facility. So we just bought this year, actually.
You know, that's amazing. And I remember that you had a construction background, so everything that you keep adding, you know what you're doing.
You know, I've kept my general contracting license just so I can do things in the future. And I kind of sat the big boom out, but we ended up with this, and it all worked out pretty well for us.
Worked out very well, and we like local business. We always tell everybody, shop local.
Yeah.
And you know, there's more than just saying it. It's the reason that we're all able to live in this beautiful area.
Very true.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks are, you know, they're coming and going. So there's a lot of newcomers. And lucky for us, a lot of the new folks coming to town are enjoying this type of atmosphere and this type of store. So we've just gotten lucky in that respect too.
And you're friendly.
I try to be. My wife might tell you something different, but no, I try to be friendly, yeah.
Well, you work in the store and you also work on the farm.
Yes, I do. I work all morning. My wife runs the store in the morning. I come in the afternoon. People are like, you got banker's hours. I'm like, well, here I kind of do, but I'm here till late in the evening most of the time. So it all works out.
If they only knew.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, tell us a little bit about some of the things that you have here, because I love the clothing. You know, you can find it here, you find your size, and you'll order something special.
We can do special orders. We carry boots, jeans, hats. We try to carry the latest styles in Huey. Wrangler is what we kind of specialize in as far as clothing goes. We don't have a huge area for clothing, so we're not like a clothing store, but we have a lot of clothing that people really like. We get all the latest and greatest styles and that kind of thing, and so it's kind of a specialty kind of store as far as that goes.
Well, not just that. I think the big thing is when you come in and you see all the different things, you'd rather just get it all right here in one spot rather than run all over town.
You know, that's funny you say that. I heard that 2 or 3 times the last couple of days. There's other stores that won't load for them, their feed and their hay and so on. And they're like, look, I don't care. I just want to get it in one place, get it here so I can go home.
Amen.
And, you know, and so that's kind of nice too.
I feel that way too. So what do we got here? Where do you get all of this? Where do your supplies come from?
You know, we've got a lot of vendors. I don't focus on just one vendor. With my tack especially, we've got about 6 vendors. I work with a gentleman that gets a lot of things out of Mexico. A lot of my hardcore tack, I call it. It's kind of the rugged, you know, cowboy tack, if you will. That's been real popular. That's a gentleman, he and his wife have it manufactured in Mexico and then bring it up to the United States. We also, of course, have Weaver. We have other vendors as well. I've got a company down in Tennessee. I really like working with them.
Over yonder.
Yeah, over yonder. And they're a family-owned, operated deal. I've got another gal out of Oklahoma. I try to do family-orientated businesses as much as possible.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
Well, let's walk on back and see some more.
Sounds good.
And of course, we're here by the boots. And I can tell you, when I first moved here in 1994, I actually brought my high heels with me. I know, you can laugh if you want to, because
I'm picturing that.
Well, once you walk on cinders and, you know, everything starts to get ruined and, you know, you're tearing them up,
Yeah.
you're gonna start looking for boots. In fact, you know,
Those
I
are
wear
cute.
boots today. They matter. You
Yeah, they
have
do.
some really pretty ones, and you know, we don't just look for pretty, we're looking for long wear up here.
Very true.
It's rough.
Yeah.
So tell us about the boots.
You know, we've got all kinds of different boots. We're going to expand on some of that once this whole COVID stuff goes, you know, gets a little better so
Yes.
you can get more things in. There are some supply chain issues with boots and things, but what we've had all along is Double H has been a really good one.
Wow.
This is actually made by a company here in the United States, which is very hard to find these days. We're going to reach out to them. They're on the East Coast. A lot of women's boots I've had in the past have been really good with that brand. We've also got some Ariat. We've got Timberland for work boots. We do sell a lot of work boots. And we've got good old Western wear. We've got kind of your going out type of boot, going out and eating and that sort of thing. And then we've got your rough and tumble, you know, get on your horse and ride kind of thing where you're not going to tear your boots up. So
You got to have them.
you do.
You really do. It
especially
makes
in
a
the rodeo
difference.
world.
And you've got the stuff to keep them nice, right?
We do.
Yes.
We do
'Cause
have different types of polishes and oils and that sort of thing that keeps your boots as good as new.
You want to make sure you waterproof as soon as possible, right?
Absolutely.
This is good.
Yeah.
And of course, we have more clothing here, more boots. I mean,
Yep.
everywhere.
More
Also,
clothing, more boots, jeans.
Yes, jeans. You've got to have the jeans. And you said that Wrangler is primarily what you carry, right?
It is. I mean, there's only so much room. We would actually have to expand again in order to really go crazy with the clothing. So we have enough in here. It's mostly your cowboy cuts. It's your getting down and dirty, you know, type of jean wear and that sort of thing. If you're riding horses or you're working or you're that type of stuff. We do have some fancier dress shirts and that sort of thing. But as far as jeans go, it's your everyday get on your horse and ride kind of thing.
Well, everybody wants the stuff that's going to last. That's what makes the
Absolutely.
difference.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go see some more.
Okay.
Well, we're in a part of the store right now that everybody really likes.
I love this stuff.
Yes, and don't you think this would be a good Christmas gift for somebody?
Absolutely, and this is a really nice saddle, and it keeps getting reduced. We've got a lot of consignment
Really?
saddles. That's what this one is.
You're kidding.
Yeah, folks bring this stuff in. I just tag a tiny bit on top of it, and I just move them for them. And so you get a lot of different variety and things that you can't find anywhere else because it's not your cookie cutter type of deal. And this saddle in particular is really nice. A lot of people have been looking at this one. We sold a super beautiful saddle out of Texas yesterday, brand new.
Wow.
And so, yeah, saddles are selling, and people are enjoying riding and that sort of thing. And they're wanting to be outdoors and activities, and that sort of stuff's really doing well.
Lately, when I've walked on trails, I've run into more people on horses. And, you know, you always notice the saddle, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you and I were talking just a few minutes ago. One of the things that we know a lot of people don't want to go out, or they are ordering online. But there are some things you have to touch and feel.
Absolutely.
And you did not even notice when I walked over here. I said, oh, I can smell it right now. And you said, oh, I don't smell it. It's leather we're talking about. You've gone nose blind.
I smell it now that I'm right next to it, but yeah.
It's wonderful.
I hear that all the time. It smells so good in here, and I'm like, really, what does it smell like? You know, I'm thinking maybe cleaning supply smell or something.
No,
They're like,
it's
no,
leather. It's leather.
Leather and sweet feet is what they smell.
Well, I think this is fantastic. I love this, and now people know that they can have a variety to look at.
We have a heck of a variety.
You do.
Some folks just brought some saddles in from down under. They're Australian saddles. I do sell a lot of those. I haven't seen them lately. And I've got some in here that are brand new. I mean, hardly used, and they're super reasonably priced. So you always want to come in because you never know one day to the next what I'm going to have as far as saddles goes.
Good point.
Yeah.
Well, this is a section that I like, and I know a lot of people have pets. And, you know, we use the veterinarians regularly, but there are some things that we can actually do. And so we can come in and take a look-see.
Yeah.
Having raised dogs for so many years, I know those things that are going to work that keep me from having to go to the vet.
Right.
You know,
it's so
easier.
expensive to...
Right. Or either late at night something happens, or the weekend when you can't get somewhere.
Very true.
Of course, you have a lot of knowledge about this.
You know, we try. We learn from our customers as well. You know, we don't think we know everything. We try to learn as much as we can, and I tell you, I learn more from my customers sometimes than I do from anything else. They've been through different things, different situations, and they'll say something to me too. Hey, have you tried this? Do you have this? Do you have that? And so we've always listened to them. And to be honest with you, they're the ones that have actually built this store. Back when we first started, we had one of those yellow pads, a clipboard, and we still have it today. And it's all special requests, special requests, special requests, because a lot of the larger companies, they're great companies too. However, they're kind of limited on what they can and can't bring in at a moment's notice. And so that's how we've learned over the years. I can't say I'm an expert, but I can always make a phone call and get a hold of a vet. We've known several of them over the years. And a lot of times they'll answer the phone and they'll give me some advice. And, you know, because we're not a vet, but we sure try to help as much as we can.
And they also know that a lot of times they can't get somebody in, and they want you to take care of your animal as soon as possible. It gets worse.
They're so busy. Sometimes they're like, geez, you know, we're overwhelmed. I can't help you right now. So anything we can do on our own to help take care of our animals absolutely is the best way.
And I like that advice because, as you said, there's a lot of times that people will tell you something. It's something you can try. If it doesn't work, then you can try something else. But give it that good old hard try.
Yeah, exactly.
This is an important part of the store because a lot of people look for organic. They look for things they can trust. And things are getting harder and harder to find these days.
You know, I hate to admit that, but you know, everyone hears about the sea container boats and so on and so forth floating around in the east, or whatever, the LA harbor.
Yes.
And they've got a lot of product on them, and we're not able to get a lot of product. You know, you'll order 2 or 3 pages full of stuff, and you're thinking, oh boy, we're gonna get all this stuff in, and maybe a third or 25% of your order shows up. So it's been kind of difficult. But you know, I've got a positive outlook on the future. I think we're going to get things worked out. There's other things we're planning on doing in the near future, next year, next spring. I don't want to get into detail because it's kind of top secret, but it's all about this part of the store.
So you have a plan B?
I have another idea that I think is going to be fun.
Okay.
And again, customers come in, they ask for certain things, and that's, you know, that's how we learn. And that's, you know, so there's things that we're going to be doing that I think folks are really going to enjoy.
Ah, now you've dangled the carrot, so we can't wait for springtime.
It's going to be good.
Feed, that's important, whether it's for pigs, hogs, dogs, cats, horses, everything, you've got it. And awesome feeds.
Awesome feed.
That's you.
And that's, yes, and that's how you and I really got to know one another years ago.
Yes.
And you were saying it was what, 2016?
Yes, 2016.
That's hard to believe it's been that long.
Yeah.
It's kind of a, I don't want to go into on and on with it, but there was a company out of New Mexico that made our feed, and you did the whole story on it back in 2016.
It's
a
amazing.
Beautiful story. And
well,
you launched this feed line for us years ago.
Thank you for letting me do that.
And the independent newspaper actually made our logo and the whole shebang. Tawny over there did a beautiful job. And we have nothing but thanks to you and our local community that has built this brand of feed. And what's happened is Onate, long story short, they had a structural failure at their mill, and unfortunately, they're not in business any longer. And it was really, one day they were there, next day they weren't. So we've had to switch gears. We've got a company called Alltech. They're a huge manufacturer. We got so lucky to run into them. And they took over a mill in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I called them and told them what had happened. They said, David, we'll do whatever we can for you. So we've been working on recreating this feed line, and we actually gained about 3 different SKUs on top of what we already had.
Really?
Because Onate was so generous, they gave us some of their line because parts of their line were in my line, and so it just kind of went hand in hand. So we're just about ready to launch. This is the old Awesome Super Feed logo that we did, and these are the old bags. This new company has a complete art and marketing department and that sort of thing, and those folks have designed a new bag that looks like all the fancy schmancy bags, and they're still going to be the same price as what I'm paying for these bags.
Really?
It's amazing. And so we're going to relaunch the entire line probably in about the next 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a month from now. We're going to relaunch it. All the formulas have been gone through over and over. It took a lot of time. I praise our customers for their patience and their understanding, because we had to kind of, you know, it took a little bit to get it all back to where it needed to be. And we've got one more SKU that we're working on, and we're dang near done with that. So once that's done, in fact, the independent newspaper is going to help me make my rack cards for every bag. And so we've got new bags, new rack cards, and great formulas.
Well, I'm excited about that, and I know everybody else is, because feed is important. What you give your animal matters, and I know that you've worked really hard on this, and I appreciate it too as a pet owner.
Yeah, it's been incredible. It's been good.
Well, again, we're in the feed section, only it's a special feed section. Tell us about this line.
Well, it's interesting. The company that's taken over our line is Alltech. Alltech also has Hubbard Feed. It's an Alltech company. Hubbard, they have Show Right, Show Feed, and they've got Homestead. So
wow.
We're the first company in Arizona. We're their flagship company to bring their line into Arizona. So that's kind of exciting, and they're excited to be part of us as well. And for them doing my feed line, they didn't say, hey, you've got to take my feed or I can't do your feed. They did my feed with no questions asked.
Really?
And I said, well, what else do you have? And they go, oh, we've got an entire feed line. So we went ahead and started bringing that in. We also have Nutrina, which is a great feed as well. But Hubbard is exclusive to us in this area. So we're kind of excited about that. They do a wonderful job, and it's a great feed.
And so a lot of people that are already familiar with it now know where they can get it.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. Well, we're not at Christmas yet, but we did touch on it. And These are
around
the
the
kind.
corner.
Oh yeah, these are the kind of things that I want in my dog stockings. And
There you
you've
go.
got such an array, all the different colors, kinds. Oh, these are good because they really last.
They do.
And this is the biggest thing. People don't want their dogs to pull anymore, and you don't want to hurt them. So these work out great. I
do.
love all of this stuff, and toys for the dogs.
We do. We've expanded the toy area a little bit. Again, we're limited on space, so we have the best of what we can find. And it's just fun. I mean, everybody has to walk up and stretch me or make a noise or something. He's not making, there he goes. He's making a
He's noisy.
But yeah, the toys, I think people enjoy the toys as much as the dogs do, to be honest with you.
Oh, and of course, these are real important. My dogs are crated and they have to have something, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be a dog. It could be the gerbils or anything
it could be
else.
a rabbit. It could
Yeah.
be all kinds of different animals.
It
You'd
works.
be surprised. Everybody's got all different types of animals.
And you still have hay, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, great.
We have-
What kind?
That's still our #1 selling item
Really?
today. That's
Which
what
is how you got started.
I started on the side of the road with hay, and it's still our #1 seller. We've got just a regular alfalfa, Bermuda, straw, that type of thing. I've got Paca Verde, which is unique to this area. It's a rye alfalfa mix. And then, of course, we've always kind of specialized in the Colorado hay, which is orchard grass, orchard alfalfa mix. And I've also got an oat hay out of Colorado.
And that's what I remember.
Yeah, we've got all kinds of different hay. We've actually got 9 different types of hay out there.
Really? That's fantastic.
That's a huge selection.
Good to know. Now, before we go, we have to go see the cowboy hats or cowgirl hats.
Absolutely.
I love this corner, and of course, we're talking about hats.
Yep.
And you have a lot of people coming in, and your hat looks pretty good.
Oh, thank you.
You get to pick.
I do. This is actually a very plain Jane hat, but it's one of my favorite hats. There's actually a funny story to this hat. This is not an expensive hat. It's a hat I got from the tack shop from Helen Moon 15 years ago.
Oh my goodness, and I remember Helen.
And it's funny, I have this hat in an old beat-up style. I've had it for years and years, and you just, you know, you put it in the steamer and you get it back in shape and you wipe it down, you put it on your head and go again. And anyway, this hat was no longer available. And I called the company and I said, hey, do you still have this hat? And I was trying to explain it, and they go, well, I don't know what you're talking about. Can you take a picture and send it to me? And I took a picture of it and said, oh, that's that 8-second hat. Yeah, if you order this many of them, we'll make it for you again.
Really?
So this is an exclusive hat, and I sell the heck out of it. It's a very popular hat. And it's so light, and it's nothing fancy, but I tell you what, you put it on your head, you forget you have it on. I knock into stuff. I look like a, like a goofball sometimes. But this thing, I tell you what, it's a funny story, but it's a great hat.
And it shows what you can do just by making a phone call. Ask the question.
Yeah.
There is no stupid question.
Exactly, except the one you don't ask.
Exactly. And you have lassos. I know people look for those all the time.
We do. We have ropes. We have Lone Star ropes. I've got kid ropes. In fact, I did a big purchase of used ropes. I sell a lot of used ropes.
Really?
The new ropes are so expensive, and they keep going up in price like everything else. And unless you're a professional roper and that type of thing, you're going to need that type of rope. But if you're just messing around, practicing, learning, I've got a guy, in fact, he came in today, comes in once a year, and I buy hundreds of his ropes at a time, and we sell used ones. And you've got a very expensive rope that's used, but it works just as good to mess around and learn and that sort of thing.
I think that's great. Now tell us when you're open, what your hours are, and are there any special things coming up besides spring?
Yeah,
And
spring.
your big announcement.
And we got some cool things coming in spring, but our hours are 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. Certain holidays we're closed. Sunday we're closed. Other than that, 9 to 5, Monday through Saturday. We're here to help you. We load your feed for you. You don't have to worry about that. We do have some specials coming up. There's some things coming out on the radio. We've got a lot of gift certificate type stuff going to be coming over the next several months to try to help people, with some Christmas shopping. And we'll be doing specials throughout the next 90 days.
Well, you have really grown. You've added a lot to our area, and it's so good to have you here. I'm glad that you've been able to grow.
Well,
and
thank you.
2016 to now, this really says a lot.
It's amazing.
Dave,
Thank you
it's
so
good.
much, Barbara.
Come by and see him.
Thank
and
you.
Of course, we're talking about Pet Food Warehouse.